We are with Allison Wylie from Ellington, a senior on the Eastern Connecticut women's lacrosse team. And recently, Allison was involved in something I think that is on a lot of people's bucket list, something, especially when they graduate, or something they want to do. Allison, just talk a little bit about what you were involved with recently.
So on October 14th, I was in Hartford to run the Hartford Marathon that was presented by Eversource. So I ran it with my mother, and we completed our very first marathon.
Can you talk a little bit about how it started? Where did the idea come up and say, hey, let's try and do a marathon?
So we did the half last year, and we decided to train for that. We were running together for a while, and then we decided, let's set a goal. So we did the half, and actually, at the time we were doing the half, my mom's friend, Diane, was doing the full. So we got to watch her train, and then watching her finish was just amazing. So I was like, wow, I had the silver medal, but now I really want to go for the gold medal. So, and I saw other people finishing, and it was just it was so cool to see other, people crossing the finish line, and I was like, wow, I think I could do that. So I decided I would do the full, and my mom kind of came with me. Took her a while to convince her, but we decided around December of last year we were going to train, but we didn't start training until May of May 2017. So
when you say training, what did that involve?
It was a 16-week training. We would run 4 times a week. We also went to our trainer, Bruce, who would work with us on strength and conditioning, and he also would work a lot on preventing ACL injuries, would strengthen our hamstring, so he made a huge difference. And coming here with Mike Jones, the strength training is so important because a lot of people just run, but you really need to make sure you're getting in the gym and lifting, because you're running for 4 hours, you have to be strong enough. So we would run 4 times a week. We would go to Bruce in the summer, and then our long runs would be on weekends, so we would have one day that was a long run. So we ended up starting to go to Rails to Trails, where I ran into Dr. Chatterton, who would help. Yes, he also was training, which it was great to get advice from people who have done it. So we would see him a couple times, made friends on the trails, but it just became our thing. So we would run every Saturday, and then we would do short runs. And then when I got to school, we would run separate, and then I'd go home to run with her on Saturdays. But yeah, it was, we had to do a lot of strength training. We had to run a lot of miles. We went through a lot of shoes. But
really?
Yeah, and we also, I did it more than my mom, but I would go to yoga just to stretch, and it was power yoga, but you have to do more than running with training, because you can't just run, because you'll hurt. That's how you get injuries, which we were very fortunate, and we didn't get injured at all during our training.
I don't think anyone thinks about that. When they think about training for marathon, it's just let's run.
Yeah.
But how did you guys realize that it has to be more than that?
We have a lot of people who supported us, and our trainer Bruce, he told us he's trained people who have done Ironmans and marathons, and we realized it's so important. And I also learned from lacrosse that I became such a better player just by getting in the gym and lifting weights. It doesn't have to be crazy weight, but it has to be, you have to be doing something. So we would be in there, and he would make workouts for me for lacrosse, and then when I finished, he started doing running workouts. So all that, it supports you, and you need to strengthen the muscles for your knees and for your hips and hamstrings and even your feet, because it's not something normal that the human body's going through, so you need to train. But we learned, we had a lot of people who were our mentors and our advocates, people who have done it before. We read books, we have Runner's World magazine. You have to do your research with this, because it's not just a 5K, it's something you have to train for.
And it could be dangerous.
Yes, very dangerous.
What was your biggest fear in the back of your mind going into the marathon? Whether it was weather or pulling a muscle, was there a fear that you were hoping to avoid?
So, since being a student athlete, I have played in all different types of weather, and I learned that you can't control whether it's below 20 degrees or it's snowing or raining. My biggest fear was that I don't sweat a lot, so if it was too humid, even in lacrosse, I can't play. Coach has to take me out, and because my body doesn't produce enough sweat. But the nice thing about running is you gradually are going, so my body was able to do that. My other fear was that I was going to do this and hate it, because I loved the training and I loved doing it with my mom, and it was something that when I was training, I was hoping that I didn't work all these 16 weeks to hate it. But I'm really happy that it was an amazing experience.
How was it with your mother? Did she have some anxieties too heading into that?
Yes, she woke up that morning and said she wasn't doing it.
And then 16 weeks down the drain, right?
Yes. So no, she was nervous. I actually woke up and I was nervous because I wasn't nervous, which I kind of put together that I do get anxiety before lacrosse games because my team depends on me. If I drop the ball, it affects other people. Where this is, it's just me. I'm just running. So I wasn't, but then I'm like, I should be nervous. I'm running 26.2 miles. I should be nervous, but I just, something stuck with me is my trainer Bruce said, accept that you're going to be in pain. And just getting over that, like, okay, I'm going to be in pain, but it's only for this short amount of time.
Only 4 hours.
Yeah, only 4 hours. But my mom, she was a little nervous, but we talk each other down some days. She had a good run and I had a horrible run. Some days I was doing great and she was doing bad. And we always kind of had this thing where if we're on a training run and she has to stop, I stop. Or if I have to stop, she stops. And we've both been at that point where we need to stop, whether it's on a 4-mile run or it's on an 18-mile run. We both have had to stop. And I think it was cool because even though it's such an individual event, we were a team. We depended on each other during the run. When we're on mile 18, she even said to me, I need something to keep me going. So we were talking ourselves through it. So
that was a big part of it, talking your way through it.
Yes.
Right? Would it have been harder to either you or your mother running it without the other person?
I can't run. I could never have done it alone, just from the training aspect, because
right.
It's really boring. And people are so surprised when they're like, you talk when you run? And I'm like, yeah, we talk the whole way. Granted, she's a teacher. I want to be a teacher. We're talkers. So we would talk on runs. Sometimes we were quiet. Even in the race, sometimes we were quiet because you're just taking in all these people around you, and there's so many supporters, whether you're going to West Hartford for the half or East Hartford for the full. It's a huge event. They shut down the city for this, so it was sometimes it was just so overwhelming, especially the start. You had to take it in and almost calm down a little bit because you're very anxious. So we know each other. We know when to talk to each other. We know when not to talk to each other. So we're a team. We definitely are. So
did you, before the race, did you factor in the fact that the support of other runners and the support of all the spectators, that had to play a major role in keeping you going, no?
Yes. So we only trained to 20 miles. So I'm thinking when we did our 20-mile run, and we only ran 20 miles once. So I'm thinking, wow, I've run 6 more miles. So you think about it, but on the trails, you're running and it's just you and trees and just one long, long trail. So when you have people there saying you can do it, and you have these signs, and you know that there's going to be something at the end other than your car waiting to go home, it's motivating, and you really have to depend on your the drive to make you finish. It was something that I decided, I said, I'm only going to count up. I'm not going to count down, because when you think, 25 more miles, but I said, okay, mile 1, okay, mile 2. So when you hit those high miles, you start to get adrenaline, and it was pretty amazing. It's like going to practice versus playing in a game. Yeah. It's just different, and obviously you need practice for a game, like you need training for the run. But it was definitely something that we we needed the support. Like, even the people there who are
Yeah.
just watching, they're doing so much. And we had my dad, my sister, and we had our friend Diane, who she ran the half, and we finished and she was crying because she understands, like, runners, I think it's just a different group. Like,
It sure is.
and they are the nicest people.
they are.
I have so much respect for the track team and what they do.
Cross
because
country, yeah.
and people don't realize what they do
Yeah,
and
they don't.
what running is
Yeah.
until you do something like this. So, and runners are just so happy. So it was nice to be part of a community, and when you're running along next to someone, I met a couple friends
Yeah.
on the race, and it's nice from going to lacrosse where you're fighting to win, where this is we're gonna do it together.
All together.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have one overwhelming either emotion or thought when you crossed the finish line?
Yes, I cried. I cried. My mom was crying. I
Really?
cried at mile 25 because it's just like, wow, I'm working for this, and it's happening. Everything I just did, it's about to happen.
Yeah.
You have so many people there at the finish line, and you have your family, friends, and it's just something that it's crazy. I knew I was going to cry because in the half I crossed the finish line and I cried on the half because I've never run 13.1 miles. So I knew going into this and I'm a very emotional person, so is my mother. So when we crossed it, and I think I was more emotional because my mom and I did it together, which not many people can say, which my mom, I can't thank her enough for doing this with me. My dad is a huge supporter with my sister and I playing lacrosse, and he has done everything for us, and my mom is a supporter too, but my dad has never picked up the stick and said, yeah, let's go play in a game, where my mom was like, I'm not going to not only support you, I'm going to do it with you, which I don't think I would have done it if it wasn't for her, so.
And she had just a little bit more left at the end. She beat you by, what, 1 second?
Yeah. She said we're going to cross together, and yet somehow she had that 1 second there, but it was cool. And our only goal was just to finish. So she actually said this was going to be her one and done, and I told her, okay, I'll find a new running partner after, because I want to do another, and I want to try to hit times, and it would be amazing to qualify for New York, Boston. It's something that I need to do something after lacrosse. I've been active since preschool, so I need to keep doing something, and I found something that I can do after lacrosse, which is great. And she even said after, she said, I don't know if that was my last one.
Really?
Because it's such an amazing experience that even though it hurts, you forget about it. And I told her that at mile 18, I said, you're going to forget about this pain you're in when we cross. And she said, you're right, I don't remember the pain I was in, because that ending is so overpowering that you forget about those 4 hours and 32 minutes that you're running for. So
You probably thought, if someone ever said to you, okay, can you run for 4 hours without stopping? There had to be a point previously where you said, there's no possible way I could ever run that long.
I did say something very bad to my mom. Our family's from upstate New York, Syracuse. It takes 4 hours to get there.
Oh,
I said,
that
Mom,
puts it in perspective.
I said, Mom, this is like an entire drive to Syracuse. She did not like that, but it's amazing to think that, and it was something that we did, which it didn't feel like 4 hours. It went by so fast. It did, and you're not thinking about the time when you're doing it, because it's just something where you're watching the crowd, you're watching the runners, it's such a positive and exciting moment that you almost forget how long it actually took. Like, if you told me to go out and run 4 hours right now, it's 90% mental. It is. So I don't think it took, I wouldn't say that it felt like 4 hours. But when I'm in the car going to Syracuse, it feels
That's
like 4
4 hours.
Yes.
So it wasn't really a blur to you, the race? You can sort of remember
Yeah,
looking
I remember,
around and stuff?
Yeah, I remember everything that happened. I couldn't exactly tell you my pain. I know that my legs were tired. My worst miles were 22 to 24, but then you hit 24 and it's like only 2 more. And it was in that last mile, it was like nothing. It was like taking 3 steps, because it was just something that you just ran 25 miles, 1 mile is nothing. And it got tough out in South Windsor. That was the toughest part, but when you get back to Hartford, it was so many people and everyone's cheering you on, and there were so many people that were like, you're almost done, so I was like, okay, I'm almost done. So it was a great, I would do it again in a heartbeat, which is, I'm very surprised I'm saying that.
You probably never thought you would say that, right?
No, I didn't, and I hope my mom does another one. I would definitely like to go for a time and train to try to hit closer to 4 hours, or eventually just have, so I already accomplished my goal of running one. Now I want to set another goal, and I don't feel like I did anything like that crazy, even though I know it's such a huge accomplishment. I didn't realize the amount of support I had either until after it. It was amazing how many people reached out, and friends, family, people came home for it. It was you definitely realize how strong your support system is when you do something like this. And we couldn't have done it without most of the people that did support us.
Like you said, it's running is really a community.
It is.
It really is. Well, Allison, congratulations on
Thank you.
finishing that, and good luck in the spring.
Thank you.